Hey guys, welcome to the High-Tech Software Solutions channel, and today we're gonna work on basic functionalities with files. As you know, we want to work in this video or tutorial that how can we upload files to the database, update files, and read files from the database and also delete them. So let's start first by creating and storing files to the database. Let's jump to our project. First of all, we need a controller, and also we need a model to communicate with our database within our project. And for that, we should go to our command prompt, and from command prompt we should go to our project folder, which is // and WAMP folder and www / my project name is file. Press enter. Now first of all, we want to create a controller for our files, and we can say php artisan make controller, and our controller's name should be file controller. Press enter. After creating a controller for our files, now we need to create a model and a migration for our tables, and for that we can say php artisan make model, and our model name should be file, and for its migration, for creating its migration, we can flag it as -- migration and press enter. Okay guys, our model and migration has been created successfully. Now before proceeding any further, let's go and create our database from phpMyAdmin, and for that we can go to localhost phpMyAdmin. We should name our database file. You can name it anything you want. I will name it file, and we can proceed to create. Now let's go back to our project and go to our database folder and migrations, and this create files migration. As we created it, we can say here table arrow string, and we want to give our files a name. After that, we want to create another field. It should also be string, and it is the original name of file. The first name that we described is the username, that a user wants to give a file a name. So for that, this is the user name, and the other field is for original file's name. Save it, and let's run our migration. But before that, we should connect our database to the project, and for that we can go to .env file, and in here we can as you can see, our DB database connection should be file, the name that we give to our database, and the username is root, and I don't have any password for my phpMyAdmin. Save it and close it. Now let's run our migrations for creating tables in our database, and for that we can say php artisan migrate. As you can see, all the migrations have run successfully. Now let's see in our database that the tables are created successfully. As you can see, this is our files table, migrations table, password resets table, and users table. And in our files table, we have an ID which is a primary key, and we have a name field, file field, and date fields. This is what we want. So let's start first of all by creating a link from the home page that goes to the index page of files, where we can create files or show files and etc. And for that, let's jump to our code. Let me close this migration. Let's open our controller. In our controller, we want to first declare a method by saying public function for index, for our files index. And in here we want to load a view by saying return view, and it should be index. Let's create our view in our views folder, which is located in resources under views folder. Right click on it and say new file, and it should be index.blade.php. okay, first of all, let's declare h1 which says files, and after that we want to declare a link which goes to a route, and the route should be create, because first of all we want to be able to create and store files to the database. And for the value we should say create or upload files, upload file, save it, and let's refresh. Oh, we didn't create an index link for our page. Let's go and create that in our welcome page. In here you can see link, and it goes to route, and the route is index, and in here we can say files, save it. Let's create this route in our routes folder and web. We can say route get, and as you know, it is, we can say files slash index. It should go to our file controller and index method. Save it, and now let's go to our browser, refresh. Route index not defined. Oh, we should also give our route name, a name of index, and save it and refresh. Okay, it's working. Now let's go to our files link. Now we want to create this create route. Let's jump to our code, and after our index route we can say route get files slash create, comma, it should go to our file controller but not index method, create method. We should give it a name also, and it should be create. Save it. Let's refresh our page. As you can see, it says upload files. Now if we click on upload file, there is no method available for our create. Let's go create our method, and we can say for that public function create, and our create method should go to our create view, and we can do that by saying return view, and it should be create view. Let's create our view in our views folder by saying new file and create.blade.php. Now in here, first of all, we want to describe an h1 which says upload file. Upload file. And after that, we want a form. We want a form. This form should go to a route, and we want the name of the route should be store. And after that, we want our method to be post. And for files, we should also declare an ink type. And the ink type should be multi-part form data, because we want to upload files to the database, so we should use this ink type or it will not work. After creating our form, let's first of all declare our CSRF field. After that, we want an input for our name field, and we can say that by saying input type should be text, name should be name, and a placeholder should be give a name to the file. The other input we need is for the own file, and we can declare it as input type should be file, name should be file, as we declare it in our database. And that's all we need here. And finally, we need our button to submit our form. To submit our form, we can say submit. Save it, and now let's see how it looks like. Okay, we didn't declare our route, our store route. Let's do that also by going to our web and saying route colon, and now we want to post to our database, not get, because it is a form and we want to save or store to our database, so we can say post, and post files / store, which should go to file controller and store method, and we should also give it a name of store. Save it. Okay, now let's also create our method here to prevent the errors. Public function store. So now let's leave it empty to see our form. Okay, as you can see, this is our form. We can select a file, and this is our submit button. Okay, that's fine. So now let's start on writing the code that we need to store the file to our database and also to a specific folder in our project. And for that, first of all, we need to validate our input fields, and for that we can say this arrow validate, and what we want to validate is the request data that is coming from the form. And don't also forget to declare our request at our method, and we can say that request and also request. Okay, now we want to declare an array, because we have two fields in our forms. The first one is name, and we want it to be required, and comma, and the second one is also a file, and we also want this to be required. Now after validation, you can upload files in two ways. You can rename it, or else you can save the file as its original name. And in my case, I want to rename it to show you guys how we can also rename our files and save it to the database. So for that we can say, first of all, we need to get our file and store it in a variable by saying file request arrow file, and the file field name is file, semicolon. Now we want the extension out of it. As you know, every file has an extension. As you can see, these are all PHP files and it has an extension of .php. In here we need first of all our extension, and we will save it in file ext variable, and it should be equal to file arrow get client original extension. After getting our extension, we now want to give our file a new name, and we want to store it in file name variable, and we want to give it a random name from 1 2 3 4 5 6. It should be 6 characters, and we want to select it randomly to 999,999 numbers. After that we want to concatenate it with a dot, because this is a dot before the extension, and after that dot we want to concatenate it with our extension that we got from our original file. Okay, after that we want to declare our destination in our project for our file, and we want to store it in a variable called file path. You can give these variables any name as you wish. So for destination we can say it should be public path. We should use this public path method because it will go to our publics folder. And now we can say which folder we want to store our files. We want to store our files in files folder, and semicolon. Okay, now let's first of all move our file to this folder, and we can say that by saying file arrow move, and we want to first of all we should say the file path where we want to store it, and after that the name that we given it, and semicolon. Okay, this was how to store the files into our folder. Now we also want to store the information that is coming from the form to the database, and for that first of all we need to use our model at the top of the controller by saying use app / our model name is file. And now let's create an instance from this model by saying file equals to new file. After that our first field is the name of the file, which is coming from the form. We want to store it in our database. The second thing is our own file, and the name is what we given it randomly, and that is file name. And after that now we want to save our file to the database, and we can say that by file arrow save, semicolon. And after saving to the database we want to redirect by saying return redirect to the route. Which route? We want to redirect to our index route. Okay guys, this is all the code that we need to store files to the database. Let's try it. Let's go to our browser, refresh, and okay, we want to give it a name. We can say Laravel logo, and let's choose our file. We want to choose this Laravel logo file and press submit. As you can see, it redirected us back to our index page. Let's check our database. As you can see, our file has been created, but the name has some problems. The file name is correct. It is a random name that we given it. Let's check our public folder. As you can see, the file is also uploaded to our folder, but the name has some problems. And yeah, I think I got what is the problem. We have declared that we want to save it in our database in name field, but the request is coming from the file input. Let's change it to name, and let's try it again. Let's go to upload file, and now we want to upload a wallpaper. Now let's choose our file. We want to upload this wallpaper, and say submit. As you can see, it is redirected. Now let's check our database. Yeah, it is now working. So guys, this was how to create and store or upload files to the database. And in the next video, we will work on how to read or get files from the database and download it or show it in our index page. And for now, bye guys, see you in the next video.